My dad said, "Sign your house over to your brother. He needs it more." I laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound that surprised even me, and told him, "Let me think about it." The next day, the thought was complete. I called the locksmith, and the old keys, for 3 decades a symbol of belonging, became useless metal. A new sign, stark and unambiguous, took root at the end of my driveway. They're still wondering why, I suppose. I won't pretend my childhood was a tapestry of horrors. My parents were not abusive. They provided the essentials: food, clothing, school. The basics were covered. But in a family where the firstborn could do no wrong, basics were precisely all I ever received. Andrew, 3 years my senior, was the golden child. He could turn a simple task into chaos, and my parents would blame the circumstances, the tools, anything but him. Meanwhile, my quiet accomplishments were met with a perfunctory, "That's nice, honey," while they charted Andrew's next grand adventure. This pattern was woven into the fabric of our lives, an unspoken rule that defined our roles. When I was 12, and Andrew 15, we both wanted bikes. I spent 3 months saving birthday money and doing extra chores, eventually buying a used one from a neighbor for $40. Andrew simply expressed a desire, and the following weekend, Dad took him to the shop. He returned with a $500 mountain bike. When I dared to ask why, Dad explained Andrew needed reliable transportation. I remember looking down at my own bike, its tires mismatched. High school was no different. I consistently made the honor roll, while Andrew, popular and charming, barely scraped by. A C in English warranted a private tutor for him. My solitary B, in chemistry, earned me Mom's firm advice to study harder. I'm not bitter now, not really. Perhaps I was, years ago, but by my 20s, I had accepted it. Some families have favorites, mine did. Andrew received the attention, the praise, the consistent financial safety net. I learned to navigate life on my own. It turned out to be the better deal. Andrew learned someone would always bail him out. I learned to actually solve problems. After high school, I put myself through community college, working brutal night shifts at a shipping warehouse. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., loading and unloading trucks for $12 an hour. It covered tuition and kept me fed, but it was far from glamorous. Andrew, of course, went to a 4-year university 2 states away, courtesy of Mom and Dad, full tuition, a new car, spending money, the works. One semester, when I asked if they could just help with my books, Dad told me it would build character to work for what I wanted. Character, indeed. I finished my associate's degree and started as an insurance adjuster, grinding my way up from the bottom. My apartment was cramped, shared with roommates who never cleaned the bathroom. My car had more issues than a tabloid magazine. But I saved. $50 one month, $300 another. My goal was clear: own a house before 30. Everyone, even my bank's financial advisor, was skeptical. I cut every corner. Packed lunches, stayed home on weekends. My checking account grew, painfully slowly, but it grew. Andrew, meanwhile, drifted. For times in 5 years, he'd work a job for 6 months, declare it wasn't his passion, quit, and move back home. Each time, Mom and Dad welcomed him with open arms, no rent, endless food, while he found himself. By 25, I had nearly $40,000 saved and began seriously house hunting. Most places were either exorbitant or in areas where sirens were a constant soundtrack. Then I found it, a 3-bedroom ranch, 40 minutes outside the city. It needed work but was structurally sound. I offered asking price -$5,000, they countered with -2. I accepted. 27 years old, with a 20% down payment, I became a homeowner. Nobody had helped me. Not a single dollar. Every creaking floorboard, every odd angle in the kitchen, every winter draft, I had earned. Mom and Dad visited once. They walked through, commented on the extensive work needed, Dad remarking on its distance from them. They left after 20 minutes. No congratulations, no pride, just observations about its flaws. But it didn't matter. I hadn't bought it for them. I bought it for me, and I loved it. It was mine, earned, and nobody could take it away. Or so I thought. 3 years passed. I was 30. The house was now in great shape, my equity solid. The neighborhood had gentrified, property values soaring. My little fixer-upper was worth 60% more than I'd paid. Not that I was selling. I'd put down roots. Andrew, during those same 3 years, had been living with his girlfriend, Bethany, in a rental across town. A nice place, far better than my first apartment, but the rent kept rising, and he complained endlessly about throwing money away. He worked sales at a car dealership, doing okay, but nothing spectacular. Bethany worked at a salon. They earned decent money, but spent it just as quickly: designer clothes, new phones annually, weekend trips, constant dining out. Zero financial discipline. Then Bethany became pregnant. Suddenly, Andrew needed to be a homeowner. Apparently, you couldn't raise a child in an apartment, a novel concept to millions. He started house hunting, only to discover that everything in his price range was either decrepit or in a terrible area. Anything move-in ready was far beyond their means, especially with a baby coming. Bethany, too, had strong opinions about her ideal nursery. Mom kept me updated, weekly calls detailing Andrew's stressful hunt, the impossible market. I'd offer sympathetic murmurs, then return to my life. One Sunday, Dad called. Could I come for dinner? A family meeting, he called it. Important. I should have known. My family only did family meetings when they wanted something. But curiosity, and a faint hope that perhaps things had changed, led me there. I arrived at 6. Pot roast simmered, and Mom's good dishes, usually reserved for holidays or impressing strangers, were out. Andrew was there with Bethany, visibly 6 months pregnant, in a flowing dress. Everyone was unnaturally cheerful, the kind of cheer that triggers alarm bells. Mom hugged me, Dad shook my hand firmly, both anomalies. Andrew offered a weird, almost apologetic half-smile. Something was definitely up. We ate, making strained small talk. The pot roast was, credit where due, excellent. Andrew recounted baby details, nursery, names. Bethany showed me ultrasound pictures. I nodded, offered appropriate exclamations. Beneath the forced normalcy, tension hummed. Nobody addressed the true purpose of the gathering. Then Mom brought out apple pie, my favorite, a dessert she rarely made. A cold dread settled in my stomach. The last time was when she wanted me to help Andrew move. Before that, to lend Dad my truck. The pie was a warning sign. Dad cleared his throat, carefully setting down his fork as if rehearsing a crucial line. So, he began, we wanted to talk to you about something important. A family matter. I put down my own fork. Andrew and Bethany are starting a family, he continued, as if I hadn't spent dinner hearing exactly that. They need a stable home for the baby. A real house, not an apartment. Right, I said. That makes sense. The market's tough right now, Mom chimed in. Everything's so expensive. They've been looking for months and can't find anything suitable. I glanced at Andrew. He was staring intently at his pie, avoiding my gaze. That's rough, I said. Maybe they need to expand their search or consider a fixer-upper. Well, that's actually what we wanted to discuss, Dad said, leaning forward, hands clasped. Your house, it's perfect for them. 3 bedrooms, good neighborhood, good schools. Everything a young family needs. I blinked. Okay. You live there alone, Mom said. 3 bedrooms just for you. Meanwhile, Andrew needs space for a whole family. So he should find a house with 3 bedrooms, I said slowly, like I did. The thing is, Dad said, dismissing my efforts with a wave of his hand, you bought at the right time. You got lucky with the market. Andrew can't afford what you paid, let alone what it's worth now. That's not luck, I said. I saved for 6 years. I worked 2 jobs some months. I bought what I could afford and fixed it up myself. Right, Dad repeated, his tone indicating utter irrelevance. But the reality is, you have something Andrew needs. And family helps family. The room fell silent. Mom was nodding, Bethany studying her plate, Andrew still fixed on his pie. What exactly are you suggesting? I asked, though I already knew. Sign the house over to Andrew, Dad said, as casually as if asking for the salt. You're single. No kids. You can live anywhere. Get an apartment. Something practical. Andrew needs that house for his family. I actually laughed. You want me to give Andrew my house? Not give, Mom corrected quickly. We'd help you with first and last month's rent somewhere. A nice apartment. I own a house, I said. Why would I trade that for an apartment? Because your brother needs it more, Dad's voice hardened, that familiar edge appearing when you felt reasonable and I was being difficult. He's got a baby coming. You're established in your career. No dependents. You can afford to rent. I can afford to rent because I don't, I countered. Because I own a house that I bought with my money. It's just a house, Mom said. Family is more important than property. Then why doesn't family help Andrew buy his own house? I asked. You helped him with college, helped him with his car, let him live here rent-free multiple times. Why not help him with a down payment? We would if we could, Dad said, which was garbage. I knew they had money. But we're not in a position to do that right now. This is the solution that makes sense. For who? I asked. Not for me. Think about the baby, Bethany said suddenly, her first words in 10 minutes. Don't you want your niece or nephew to have a good home? Sure, I said. I also want to have a home. Preferably the one I bought. Andrew finally spoke up, still not looking at me. Come on, man. You know how hard it is out there right now. I'm trying to do the right thing here. Provide for my family. I thought you'd understand. I understand you want my house, I said. What I don't understand is why you think you're entitled to it. Entitled? Dad's voice went sharp. Is that what you think this is? Your brother asking for help is entitled? Asking would be one thing, I said. This is demanding. There's a difference. We're not demanding anything, Mom said, her voice tight with rising anger. We're asking you to consider what's best for the family. To put your brother's needs first. Like I've done my whole life. The words slipped out before I could stop them. The table went dead silent. What's that supposed to mean? Dad asked. Nothing, I said, deciding against a 3-decade family dynamic discussion over pot roast. Look, I'm not signing over my house. Andrew needs to find his own place. That's what people do. People who care about their family help each other, Mom insisted. Help? I said. Sure. I'd help Andrew pack. I'd help him move. I'd even help him paint his new place. But I'm not giving him my house. You're being selfish, Dad said flatly. I'm being selfish, I repeated, the irony thick in my throat. Right. Because I won't hand over the thing I worked for years to afford. That's selfish. You've always been like this, Mom said, genuine disappointment in her voice. Ever since you were little, only thinking about yourself. It stung, ridiculous as it was. Your parents, even at 30, still know how to get under your skin. I think I should go, I said, standing. Sit down, Dad commanded. We're not done discussing this. Yeah, we are, I said. There's nothing to discuss. It's my house. I'm keeping it. End of story. Just think about it, Andrew said, finally looking at me. That's all we're asking. Think about it. I looked at him then, truly looked. He actually believed this was a reasonable request, that I should sacrifice my home so he wouldn't have to struggle as I had. Let me think about it, I said, and walked out. The drive home, I shook. Not purely from anger, more from the sheer audaciousness of it. They had fed me dinner, then calmly asked me to sign away my home, as if I should be grateful for the opportunity. I sat in my driveway for 20 minutes, just staring at my house. My house, bought against all odds, painstakingly renovated, a source of fierce pride. And they wanted me to give it to Andrew because he needed it more. I went inside, locked the door, and stood in my living room. The floors I'd refinished, the walls I'd painted, the shelving I'd built. Every inch held my labor, my time, my money, my effort. They could think whatever they wanted. The answer was no. The next day, I called a locksmith. $300 to change every lock, front, back, side, garage. Worth it. I understood my family dynamics. Give them an inch, they'd take the deed. The locksmith, an older man named Frank, worked efficiently, asking no questions. I kept the old locks in a box, just in case. While he worked, I drove to the hardware store for a serious no trespassing sign, the official kind, violators will be prosecuted. I mounted it on a metal post at the end of my driveway, impossible to miss, visible from the road. I even time-stamped a photo of it. Then came the digital fortress. I froze my bank accounts, requiring verbal authorization for large transactions. My mortgage company received a password, a completely random passphrase that no one could guess. Patricia at the county recorder's office, having dealt with this kind of situation before, walked me through setting up a fraud alert on my property deed. $15 well spent. If anyone tried to file documents related to my property, I'd be instantly notified. I gathered every document, deed, title, mortgage, and stored them in a new fireproof safe, scanning copies to 3 cloud storage services. Passwords for everything changed. My credit report checked. I locked down my life, knowing my parents would do whatever they deemed for Andrew's own good. I heard nothing for 2 days. They were giving me space to think, Andrew's suggestion echoing. On Wednesday, Dad showed up. I watched his car pull up, saw him try his old key, look confused, then knock. I opened the door, but didn't invite him in. New locks? He asked. Yep. Why? My house, my locks, I said. He stared. You're serious about this? Dead serious. You really think I'd try to get in without your permission? I think you'd do whatever you thought was necessary to help Andrew, I said. So, yeah, I changed the locks. His jaw tightened. That's what you think of your own father? That's what I know about my father, I said, based on 30 years of evidence. We raised you better than this. You raised me to work for what I want, I countered. So that's what I did. I worked for this house. It's mine, and I'm keeping it. Andrew needs this house, Dad said, frustration mounting. He's got a baby coming. He needs stability. Then you should have thought about that before getting someone pregnant while living in a rental he can barely afford, I said. That's not my problem. He's your brother and this is my house. You could help him. You're choosing not to. I'm choosing not to give him my house, I corrected. Those aren't the same thing. Dad was silent for a second. What would it take for you to reconsider? Nothing, I said. There's nothing you could offer me that would make me give Andrew my house. So that's it. You're just going to let your brother struggle? Andrew is struggling because of choices he made, I said. I'm not responsible for fixing that. Family is supposed to help each other, Dad reiterated for what felt like the 10th time. Help? Sure, I said. But there's a limit. And that limit is my house. Dad looked at the no trespassing sign at the end of my driveway, then back at me. You really think that's necessary? Based on this conversation? Yeah. He shook his head. You've changed. You're not the son I raised. The son you raised would have rolled over and done whatever you wanted, I said. So, yeah, I guess I have changed. He left without another word. I watched him drive away, then closed and locked my door. The next assault came from Mom. On Friday, she called, crying, genuine tears, or a perfect imitation. She worried about the baby, about Andrew and Bethany, about their future. So help them, I said. You and Dad have money. Give them a down payment. It's not that simple, she insisted. It's exactly that simple, I said. You want to help Andrew get a house? Help him get a house. Don't volunteer my house. But your house is perfect for them, she pleaded. It's exactly what they need. Then they should find one like it, I said. You're being so cold about this. I'm being realistic, I said. I'm 30 years old. I own a house. I'm not giving it up because Andrew didn't plan ahead. He's trying to plan now, she said. He's trying to do the right thing. Good for him, I said. He can do that without my house. She tried for another 20 minutes, guilt, manipulation, tears, the full playbook. I remained calm, remained firm. Eventually, she gave up and hung up. Andrew texted that night. A long message about how he'd always looked up to me, how he knew we hadn't always gotten along but thought we were past it. He just wanted what was best for his kid, he wrote. He'd even pay rent, he offered, make it a rental situation until he could buy it. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He wasn't going to live in my house, rent or no rent. He wasn't going to buy it. He wasn't going to get anywhere near it. The weekend was quiet. Then, Monday, a call from an unrecognized number. A woman claiming to be a real estate attorney, saying she was helping my family with a property transfer and needed to verify information. I told her I wasn't transferring any property and hung up. Then I called the county recorder's office again, ensuring no one could touch my deed without my physical signature and 2 forms of ID. The clerk was incredibly helpful, clearly not unfamiliar with family property disputes. Tuesday, Bethany showed up. Alone. She looked tired, even scared. She stood on my porch and asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I let her in, though I didn't offer her anything. She sat on the edge of my couch while I remained standing by the door. I know this is weird, she started. Weird's one word for it, I said. Andrew's parents. They make things complicated. They're good at that. She paused. I didn't know he was going to ask you for your house. He told me we were just going to dinner. When your dad started talking, I wanted to disappear. You could have said something, I pointed out. I'm 6 months pregnant with their grandkid, she said. I'm not exactly in a position to push back on family dynamics. Fair point. Look, she said, I get it. I get why you said no. If someone asked me to give up my home, I'd say no, too. But Andrew's freaking out. He thinks he's going to be a bad dad if he can't provide a house. Plenty of good dads live in apartments, I said. I know that. You know that. But his parents have him convinced he's failing already. That's between him and them, I said. I know, she conceded. She looked around my living room. This is a really nice place. You did all this yourself? Most of it. That's impressive. She stood. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for the ambush at dinner, for all of this. It's not right. Thanks, I said. We'll figure something out, she said. Without your house. She left. I felt a pang of something akin to pity for her. She seemed decent, caught in a family drama that predated her by decades. That was Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I woke to Dad's car parked at the end of my driveway. He wasn't in it. I scanned the perimeter, then saw him in my backyard, just standing, looking at my house. I went out the back door. What are you doing? He turned. Figured out what you paid for this place. Looked up the records. Congratulations. Also looked up what it's worth now. You've done well for yourself. Thanks. Andrew could never afford this. Not at current value. I know you know that, and you still won't help him. I won't give him my house, I said. That's not the same as not helping. What help have you offered then? Dad asked. None, I admitted. Because he hasn't asked for help. He's asked for my house. Those are different things. Dad walked closer, his gaze sweeping over my roof, my siding, my yard. You put a lot of work into this place. I did. Shame to see all that go to waste. Something in his tone made my radar shriek. What's that supposed to mean? Just saying. Houses need maintenance. Things can happen. Pipes burst, roofs leak, electrical fires. I stared at him. Are you threatening my house? I'm not threatening anything, he said, his eyes hard. I'm just saying things happen, especially when people are stubborn. Get out, I said, my voice low and steady. This is my property, and you're trespassing. Leave now. We stood there for a long, silent minute. Then he shook his head and walked back to his car. I watched him drive away, then immediately called my insurance company and doubled my homeowner's coverage. I called a security company and got cameras installed, front door, back door, driveway. $800 for a good system. I didn't care. That night, I photographed every room, every piece of furniture, every detail, uploading it all to the cloud. If anything happened, I wanted documentation. I called my friend Kevin, a cop, explained the situation, and started a meticulously dated file of all communications. Thursday was quiet. Friday, too. I began to hope they'd finally gotten the message. Then Saturday morning, Andrew called. A call, not a text. First time he'd actually tried to speak since dinner. I let it go to voicemail. He sounded wrecked, contrite. He understood I was mad, he said. He was sorry for how everything went down. Bethany was crying, his parents were on his case, and he didn't know what to do. Could I just call him back? I deleted it. Felt a small flicker of something, but not enough to call him back. Sunday, Mom called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail I didn't listen to. Whatever she had to say, I didn't need to hear. Monday, a certified letter from a law firm. My stomach dropped. I opened it. A request for mediation regarding a family property dispute. They had hired a lawyer. The legalese was dense, but the gist was clear. They wanted a mediator to decide what was fair. I called my own lawyer, the one who'd handled my house purchase. He laughed, which made me feel better. They can request mediation all they want, he said. You don't have to agree. It's your house, your property, your decision. Unless they're claiming some legal interest in it, which they're not, they can't do anything. So, I just ignore this? I asked. Yep. Or better yet, have me send them a letter telling them to back off. Might cost a couple hundred, but it'll make it clear you're serious. Do it, I said. He sent the letter that afternoon, firm, polite, stating my disinterest in mediation, asserting my sole ownership, and warning that further harassment would lead to a restraining order. I heard nothing for 3 days. Then Thursday night, my doorbell rang at 11 p.m. I checked the camera. Andrew, looking rough, stood on my porch. I didn't open the door, just spoke through the intercom. "What do you want?" "Just to talk," he said. "Please." "It's 11 p.m. I know. I'm sorry. Can I come in?" "No." He looked at the camera. "I'm not here to fight. I just want to talk brother to brother." I stood there, looking at him on my phone screen. He truly looked terrible, sleepless. "You've got 5 minutes," I said, opening the door. He came in, sitting on the edge of the couch as if afraid to get comfortable. I remained standing. "Bethany's freaking out," he said. "She thinks the baby's going to come and we won't have anywhere to put her." "You have an apartment," I said. "It's 1 bedroom. We're converting the living room, but it's not what she pictured." "Life rarely is," I said. "I know I messed up," he admitted. "I know I should have saved more, planned better. But I can't go back and fix that now. I'm trying to figure out what to do going forward." "Good," I said. "That's what adults do." "I thought you'd help me," he said quietly. "I would have helped you," I said, "if you'd asked for actual help. But you didn't ask for help. You asked for my house." "Mom and Dad said," "I don't care what they said," I cut him off. "This is between you and me. And you showed up to that dinner knowing what they were going to ask. You sat there and let them ask me to give up my house. You didn't speak up. You didn't defend me. You didn't say it was too much. You just sat there hoping I'd say yes." He didn't deny it. "I worked for this house," I continued. "I worked 2 jobs. I lived in terrible apartments. I drove a car that barely ran. I saved every dollar. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't ask anyone to give me anything. I did it myself because that's what you do." "Not everyone's like you," he said. "No, not everyone wants to work for things," I agreed. "Some people want things handed to them. That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, a bitter sound. "You want to talk about fair? Okay. Was it fair that Mom and Dad paid for your college while I worked full-time for mine? Was it fair that you got a new car while I drove a rusted-out sedan? Was it fair that you lived at home rent-free for separate times while I paid my own way from 18 on? Was any of that fair?" He didn't answer. I never complained about it, I said. I never asked them to even things out. I just accepted that's how it was and worked harder. But now you want my house, and suddenly fairness matters. "I didn't know you felt that way," he said. "Because you never asked," I said. "You never had to think about it because everything always worked out for you. Mom and Dad always made sure of it. But this time they can't give you what you want because it's not theirs to give. It's mine." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "What if I earned it? What if I paid you for it? Fair market value over time." "No, I didn't even have to think about it. Don't need to. This isn't about money. This house isn't for sale. Not to you. Not to anyone." "So what am I supposed to do?" he asked, sounding genuinely lost. "What everyone else does," I said. "Find a place you can afford. Sign a lease or get a mortgage. Make it work. Be a dad in whatever space you have. Stop waiting for someone to hand you the perfect situation. Bethany will be fine. Women have babies in way worse situations than a one-bedroom apartment. You guys will figure it out, but you'll figure it out without my house. He stood up. You're really not going to budge on this? Nope. Mom and Dad are right about you, he said. You are selfish. If looking out for myself is selfish, then yeah, I'm selfish, I said. Better than being entitled. He left, not slamming the door, just quietly closing it. I locked it behind him, checked the cameras, and went to bed. The next morning, 12 missed calls from Mom. I didn't call back. If it was a real emergency, she'd leave a voicemail. She did. 3 of them, all variations of the same message. How could I be so cruel to my brother? Didn't I care about family? What was wrong with me? I deleted them all. That afternoon, Dad showed up again. I watched him on the camera, standing on my porch, ringing the doorbell. I didn't answer. He rang it 6 more times, then started knocking. I sat on my couch, watching him on my phone screen, unmoving. He finally left after 10 minutes, sending a text an hour later, "This isn't over." I blocked his number, and Mom's, and Andrew's. If they wanted to reach me, they could send a letter. I was done with the phone calls, the guilt trips, the manipulation. The next few weeks were quiet. Nobody showed up. No letters. I thought they'd finally accepted reality. Then a notification from the county recorder's office. Someone had requested copies of my property deed. The alert system was working. I called Patricia back, asking who'd made the request. My father. I called my lawyer immediately. He sent another letter, far less polite. It threatened harassment charges if they didn't back off, and mentioned that any attempt to fraudulently transfer property would result in criminal charges. That seemed to do it. The request stopped. 2 days before Andrew's move, I came home to find my mother sitting in her car at the end of my driveway, not trying to get in, just watching my house. I pulled into my garage and went inside without acknowledging her. She sat there for 2 hours. I watched her on my driveway camera, staring at my house as if sheer willpower could change things. Eventually, she left. The day Andrew moved into his new place, I received a group text, not from Andrew, but from Mom. Photos of their new condo, the baby's room half set up, boxes everywhere. The message, Andrew's new home. So proud of him for doing this on his own. The capitalization was pointed. I didn't respond, just muted the chat. 3 months later, when the baby was born, another group text with a photo. I looked at it for 5 seconds. A tiny, red, wrinkly newborn. I texted back, "Congratulations," and left the chat entirely. A month after the birth, Mom sent me a direct message. Said I should come meet my niece. Family was important, especially now. Maybe it was time to move past all this. They were having a little get-together that Sunday for close family, 2 p.m. I should come. I didn't respond. That Sunday at 2 p.m., I was at Home Depot buying supplies for my bathroom renovation. I saw the missed calls later, didn't listen to the voicemails. Another month passed. I ran into Andrew at the grocery store, literally almost walked into him in the produce section. He had the baby in a carrier strapped to his chest, tiny and asleep in a pink hat. We stared at each other for a second. "Hey," he said. "Hey." An awkward silence stretched. He shifted, the baby making soft sleeping noises. "She's cute," I said, because it seemed like the required thing to say. "Thanks." He adjusted the carrier. "Look, I know things are weird, but I got to go," I said, cutting him off before he could finish. I grabbed the apples I needed and walked to a different section. I heard him call my name once, but I kept walking. I finished my shopping, went home, and didn't think about it again. 2 weeks later, Bethany showed up at my door. Alone this time, no baby. I saw her on the camera, recognized her, and almost didn't answer, but something made me open the door. I didn't invite her in, just stood in the doorway. "What do you want?" I asked. "5 minutes," she said. "That's it." I looked at my watch. "Timer starts now." "Andrew's miserable," she said. "He knows he messed up. He knows his parents messed up. He wants to apologize, but he doesn't know how." "Not my problem." "I get it," she said. "I get why you're done with them, with all of this. But the baby, your niece, she didn't do anything wrong." "Never said she did. She's going to grow up not knowing her uncle." "That's sad." "Lots of kids grow up not knowing relatives," I said. "She'll survive." Bethany looked at me for a long moment. "You're really not going to budge on this, are you?" "Nope. Not even for a baby." "Especially not for a baby," I said. "Because if I give in now, it sets a precedent. Next time they need something, they'll use her as leverage again." "No thanks." "That's pretty cold." "That's pretty smart," I corrected. "I learned a long time ago that my family will take whatever I give them and ask for more. So, I'm not giving them anything." She nodded slowly. "Okay. I tried." "You did." She turned to leave, then stopped. "For what it's worth. I think you're right about all of it. What they asked you to do was insane. I would have said no, too." "Thanks," I said. "But Andrew is a good dad, and that condo is fine. The baby's happy. We're making it work." "Good," I said, and I meant it. "I'm glad it worked out." She left. I closed the door, locked it, and went back to my life. And I wonder if they ever truly understood what I was trying to protect, beyond just the house itself?